Welcome, my friends, to the Halloween edition of Willie's Ramblings and Pickups. Well, let's get started with the, I'm going to get started with the pickups just yet. There's a few things I want to talk about before I get started with my pickups. It's been a while since I've made a pickup video or my rambling video. But there's a few YouTube channels I'd like to shout out that you may find very enjoyable, especially if you're looking for family-friendly content for your kids to watch. The first one I'd like to recommend is the No Swear Gamer on YouTube. This guy, he doesn't swear, hence his name, No Swear Gamer. But he provides really nice reviews of old classic video games. Really neat style. He's got a real great sense of humor. He's a lot of fun to watch. Highly recommend you check out his channel. There'll be links to all these channels down below. The next one is actually a podcast that actually started a YouTube channel now. The Retro Obscura podcast. They have a YouTube channel now, ran by my buddy Die Gamblick, who also does music for one of my podcasts. So need to check out his music at soundcloud.com/Die Gamblick, and also check out his podcast Retro Obscura as well. Next thing I'd like to talk about is icrobots.com. I recently participated in what's called the Retroist Junk Box, where IC Robots, I think his name is Don, mailed out this priority mailbox, flat rate box full of retro junk, and you would take stuff out and put stuff in and mail it on to the next person. So when I had my turn at it, I made a video showing all the stuff I pulled out of the box, what was inside, but I didn't show what I put back in it. So it was kind of neat to do. If you ever are into this kind of thing, I'd recommend you get signed up for it. It's a lot of fun to do. And an arcade I really like to go to, I haven't been there in quite a while, it's over in Cincinnati, called the Place Retro Arcade. They now have a newsletter for their arcade that you can sign up for about special events or new games Carrie is bringing into the arcade. He just recently got a hold of a computer space game and a death race game by Exidy. So he's getting a lot of obscure games out there. It's really neat what he's doing at that arcade in Cincinnati. It's turned out to be a really good place to go if you want to play some of these older classic games. He's also getting a hold of a Fix-It Felix Jr. cab from the Walt Disney film. So that's going to be really neat to see. I plan on visiting there in probably in a couple weeks or so. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And another podcast that just recently came out that a lot of you may find interesting, especially if you grew up watching a lot of these old holiday specials like the Garfield Halloween special, or it's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, or some of these other, classic holiday specials that start up usually in October and go through December. Well, a buddy of mine, Rick Reynolds, who also does the Greatest American Hero podcast and the television areas, has a new podcast he started up on his own called the Holiday Special Podcast. And what he does is he'll sit down and watch a holiday special and then record his thoughts and the baseline of the story and any interesting tidbits of information he finds out about the actual show. And what's really neat, what I really like, is at the very end he'll ask his kids what they thought of the holiday special. So it's kind of neat to hear some of the newer generation, their take on some of these old classic holiday specials that we grew up with, as older people. Well, me at least. Old man, my liver spots are getting liver spots. But getting old. But some neat things to check out when you get a chance. Now, also this weekend, the Retro Junkies Network, which I'm a part of, is doing an Extra Life event. We're 24 hours of gaming. A lot of us are taking shifts at playing. I'll be playing some classic games for the event as well. So if you're interested in watching some of us play some old classic games and maybe donate to a very worthy cause to the Children's Miracle Network, then tune in on Saturday and watch us play some games. I may start streaming Friday night and off and on. I don't know when my shift is, but I'll be playing games. So you'll find me on my stream, Arcade USA stream on Twitch. I may also be on Google Hangouts with Rick Reynolds and Robert Ferguson, who does the Atari 2600 Game by Game podcast. So I'll be bouncing around feeds out there, but I'll try to stream to my Arcade USA stream quite a bit. I've actually picked up a brand new PS4 game that I've not played yet, so I plan on playing it for the first time either tonight or tomorrow, all the way through, and that's the Castle Wolfenstein New Order game. So I'm looking forward to playing that for the first time and play it all the way through. So now let's get to the pickups. First, I want to start off with the Odyssey 2. I picked up a lot of stuff for the Odyssey 2 over the past couple of weeks or so. So we'll get right down to it here. First one I picked up, Take the Money and Run. Maze game. I need to read the instructions because I'm not 100% sure what you're supposed to do. I don't know if you're supposed to avoid little people running around in there, or if you're supposed to go after them, or I have no idea. But there is one thing I like how your character does this to duck down into the smaller passageways. Now, if you put it to music, it's like he's rocking out. It's pretty cool. Okay, next thing, picked up from Odyssey 2. Killer Bees. This game is freaking awesome. You play as a swarm of bees. And the goal is you got to fly around and sting these critters running around on the screen while avoiding the enemy enemy bees or whatever they are. I'm not for sure what they call them on here. Enemy bugs. But if you run into an enemy bug, you'll see your swarm start to diminish to find there's just one bee left flying around. Now you do have a defense. You have a bug zapper. You'll see these little red lines going up and down the side of the screen. You can shoot a line across to take out some of these enemy critters while you're trying to sting these other guys. This does have voice module support. It does talk to you as you play the game. And it has some really neat sounds of the bees buzzing around on the game as well. The next one I picked up was Alpine Skiing. I can't play this game. It's worth a darn to save my life. Pretty challenging little game. It's a lot of fun. It's not too bad. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Next one. Next one is Blackout Breakdown. Kind of like a combination of breakouts and build a wall. You got little guys up at the top of the screen that when it's your turn, you control either one of the lines of guys. And as the other player destroys the blocks, you can rebuild them with your little guys. And the goal is to try to get rid of all the blocks on the screen within like a minute time frame in order to get maximum points. Very interesting game. It's not too bad. Next one I picked up, Alien Invaders Plus. Boom. Fun Space Invaders type clone. What's really neat about this is when you get shot, you don't die right away. You turn into a little guy and you can run underneath one of your bases that are left to turn back into a mobile cannon again. It's pretty neat. It's a lot of fun. Neat little take on the Space Invader game. You know what's really cool is in the bottom of my box, it says Lovejoy. Next one is Showdown in 2100 AD. Gunfight. Now what's neat about this, you can only shoot your gun straight ahead, but if you hit the trees, you can set up a ricochet through the trees to get the other guy. But you got to be careful because you could shoot yourself as well, which I've discovered. And you can play one game, which is nice. There's not a whole lot of one-player games on the Odyssey 2, so it's nice to see that this was a one-player game as well. Great game. Next one up is Armored Encounter and Sub Chase. Basically, Sub Chase is one player plays an airplane, the other player plays a submarine, and you shoot at each other. That's pretty much all it is. The next game, though, Armored Encounter, it's combat, just like it is on the Atari 2600 Combat. It's a good combat game. It's not bad at all. You can have an open screen, it's an open field plan, or you can play the highest level, which has mines and barriers you have to steer around, and you have steerable shots as well. It's a really nice tank combat game. Not bad. It's two-player though, unfortunately. It'd be cool if there was like a one-player version. Now the next Odyssey 2 game I picked up is a homebrew. It's a port of a very controversial arcade game that came out in 1976, and it is Death Race. Awesome. This game is great. I really, really like this game. And plus, it was only $25. That's pretty cheap for a homebrew. You know, it comes with a nice cartridge, great little manual inside. I did a review video of it, which I'll have a link down there for it, so you can watch the review video of this game. There's still some left. It's limited to 100, and I think they've sold around 40 of them so far. So there'll be a link in the show notes below of where to get this game. You get them at the 2600connection.com. So if you have an Odyssey 2, I highly recommend getting this game. It is a lot of fun. Now let's move on to my Sega Genesis. What I picked up for the Sega Genesis this month. First thing I picked up was Splatterhouse 2. Complete in the box for the Sega Genesis. Pretty fun side-scrolling horror beat-em-up game. And I haven't played the first one yet. I'm going to get the first one on my TurboGrafx. I'm keeping a lookout for it. But the only thing I don't like about this one is your player can only go right and left. You can't go up or down. At least the level I was on, you can't go up and down. You just go side to side. Which is okay, but I like to be able to run around the screen. So I'm not 100% sure if I want to keep this in my collection or not. This actually came from Scottsdale. Wow, this game got around. Scottsdale Video. I guess that's in Scottsdale, Arizona. Whoa. That game has some mileage on it. The next Genesis game I got was Mega Bomberman. I love Bomberman. Bomberman's a great game. And this is just as good. Has a puzzle mode in here. And has a battle mode that only has up to 4 people that can play. But still, that's kind of cool. Be a great little party game to play. Very impressed with this game. I've been having a good time playing this. So I'm looking forward to spending some more time with this. I plan on playing it some more during the Extra Life charity event. So looking forward to that. Okay, now the next Sega Genesis game I got was Splatterhouse 3. Yeah, this one I really like. You can basically run around all over the screen like I like to do. You can pick up objects off the ground like and weapons and stuff. Or one thing I picked up was an engine block that you could throw at the enemies. And has some really wild graphics and stuff. And I really like the very beginning of the game where it shows all these ghost heads flying at the screen. Whoa, whoa. That's pretty cool. So this is not the original box for this. I actually made this. I picked up a $1 game and took out the old sleeve and printed this one off so I'd have a box for my game. And it's just the game itself in here. I don't have the manual or anything like that. But Thought it'd be kind of nice to have it on my shelf like it is in its original box, but it's not. Eventually I'll find an original box for this thing and I'll swap it out. Now, let's get to some more. Oh, here we go. I picked up a Congo Bongo for the Commodore 64. I don't have a Commodore 64, so I can't show gameplay of this. But I picked this up for my buddy Indie Soul that lives over in Korea. He does the Greatest American Hero podcast and also Stalking the Retro. He has a Commodore 64 I picked up for him. So he doesn't have a whole lot of games for it, so this is for him. Give him some more games to play. Then for my Nintendo 64, I picked up Quake for it. You know, first-person shooter, sequel to Doom. It's okay. It's not too bad. I basically just picked it up because these were dirt cheap. They were $1 a piece, so didn't have my Nintendo 64 collection, so I figured I'd just pick them up and throw them in there. The other one I picked up was Hexen, which is a good game. I played this game quite a bit on the PC when it first came out. It's kind of neat to play. Again, it was really cheap, is why I picked it up. Otherwise, I probably would have just passed on this. I tend just to pick up games I really like to play on the Nintendo 64. But for $1, I couldn't pass these up, and I have played these on the PC before, so I'm pretty familiar with them. So, yeah, it was okay to pick up, I guess. Then for my Sega Dreamcast, I picked up Jeremy McGrath Supercross 2000. Motorcycle racing game. I like racing games. This one's not too bad. I'm thinking probably the other levels of this game is a little bit harder, like you can actually crash your motorcycle. I was racing this crazy thing, as you can see in the gameplay up here, and I never crashed. I hit another bike, or I hit the side of the trail or whatever, the course. I would never wreck. I would do funky things, jump through the air, didn't wreck. So I don't know if it was just because it was that level I was playing. Maybe it was on a super easy thing or something. I don't know. But I was surprised that I didn't really wreck as badly I was driving around that track. The next thing I picked up for my Sega Saturn. This is one of the very last games ever produced for the Saturn. Courier Crisis. Basically, you pick up packages and you deliver them. It's kind of like Crazy Taxi almost, except you're on a bicycle. And you can punch pedestrians out of the way, they go flying. You can jump over ramps and do tricks. And it's kind of interesting. The controls are a little hard to get used to because it's digital controls, not analog. You don't have an analog stick doing it, so it's a little hard to control. But I was getting used to it. It's not too bad of a game. It's a lot of fun. Need to spend some more time with it though. And then for my Atari 2600, I picked up Gangster Alley. I love this foil. That is so cool. Basically, it's a cops and robbers game. You shoot the bad guys in the windows. But you even had a light gun instead of using the joystick. But it's not too bad of a game. I like the guy on top of the building going back and forth. He's like the Mad Bomber from Kaboom up there, but he's got a bald head. He tries to throw Molotov cocktails at you every once in a while. It's kind of neat. Next thing I picked up for my Atari 2600 was Activision's Kung Fu Master. Playing Kung Fu Master with a one-button joystick. It is harder than heck to get the guy to punch. You can kick real easy, but it's hard to get him to punch or do other things. It's okay. I'm pretty impressed with the graphics of the game, though. Activision makes some really good games on the Atari 2600, and this one is not too bad. The graphics are pretty good on it. And the next thing I picked up, which I hadn't seen this cartridge before, was Cosmic Swarm by Comavid. This game is... Ugh. The one thing I don't like about this game is in order to turn your ship, you have to hold down the fire button and go right or left with the joystick to steer your ship around it, rotate it. Let off the fire button and it'll fire. And then if you move around without pushing the fire button, your ship moves in 4 directions aimed the same way. And every time you fire, if you're moving the joystick to the right or left and you hit the fire button, your ship will slowly rotate around. It was actually pretty hard to control the ship to shoot the crazy little bugs coming in. But it's an interesting game. I had not seen one of these before. It caught my eye when I was at the video game store up in Toledo this week. So I went ahead and picked it up. I don't know if I want to keep it or not, though. Because I typically only want to keep Atari 2600 games that I really like. And I don't know. This one may be going to the donate pile or trade pile or something like that. Haven't decided yet. And then the last thing I picked up, what I did with it, it's over there. Be right back. Last thing I picked up. And he's back. Is an Epix 500XJ joystick for the Atari 2600. Love them micro switches. This is an awesome joystick to use on the Atari 2600, mainly because it's got micro switches inside. Pretty much like arcade micro switches. Very high quality, very responsive. This is the joystick I use when I'm making all my gameplay videos on the Atari 2600. And the one I've got over there is one I've had since the 80s. I can't remember when I picked it up in the 80s, but it's picked up sometime in the 80s. Using it on my Atari 800 computer as well. It is my favorite Atari branded joystick. And what's also nice is you can actually use this on the ColecoVision as well. On games that use one button. And you gotta use the number pad on the second controller to start your games and stuff. But I have a ColecoVision controller that I modified that this can plug into the end of it. So I can use the keypad on controller number 1 and have this as my joystick. So, awesome joystick. If you ever run across one of these, I highly recommend you pick one up. It's really great. They made these also for the Nintendo NES as well. I sent one of those to my buddy Aaron Hickman, Die Gimblick, from Retro Obscura for him to use on his Nintendo NES. But anyway, that's enough rambling for today. I gotta get ready for the Extra Life event now. So, thanks for watching.